Hi, my name is Angel. Welcome back to my channel. I am very excited for this reading vlog. I got this idea from Sarah Caroli here on BookTube. She does this for her monthly TBR where she posts on her Instagram stories books to choose from, but she kind of covers up the book and puts an emoji so that you don't know what you're choosing, but you can maybe guess from the emojis that she uses what the book is. So I wanted to try that for a reading vlog, so we're gonna do that. So my Instagram will be linked down below if you guys want to be friends on there and keep an eye out for if I do this again in the future. This is my second time doing it with Instagram, but this is my first time doing it where it's like a blind choosing. So basically, I'm posting 2 books on my story. I'm gonna cover them up and put some emojis to describe the books and let my followers vote on everything that I read this week. So as you guys may or may not know, for October I am trying to read only horror, so I've got a big stack of horror books from the library. So we're gonna be primarily choosing from that to read. So I picked for my first Instagram poll the 2 books that were really calling to me on that stack. So the first one is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I don't know what about this is speaking to me. I think I just want to read like a possession story. Grady Hendrix has been I've gotten mixed feelings about him in the past, so I'm not sure if I will love this one or not, but I'm very excited to give it a try. And then the other one that I've just been dying to read is Theme Music. I have never seen this cover before. I always think of the very popular one, I'll Pop Up. I love that cover a lot more than this one, but I really want to read this book. It's got Murder House vibes or something. I don't know. I'm just dying to read it. It's been on my TBR for a very long time. So these are the 2 that are speaking to me right now. I'm going to post those on my Instagram story and leave it up until tomorrow, and then we'll come back and see which one has won. Okay, I just got home, so I'm looking a little rough. Let's ignore that. Anyways, it's time to figure out which book we're gonna be reading, either My Best Friend's Exorcism or Theme Music. So let me tell you guys about the emojis that I put for them. For Theme Music, I put a little house and a little music note and then the axe emoji because the cover that I feel like most people know has an axe on it. And then the music note, obviously because of the title, but also because of the story, music has a part in that, and it's about a murder house. So those were those emojis. And then My Best Friend's Exorcism, I had to get a little bit creative with. I typed in friends because I wanted an emoji that had to do with friends, and those 2 girls is what popped up, which I think more gives twin vibes, but I put that. And then I put a little school emoji because they're in high school. And then I know this book definitely gives very 80s vibes, so I wanted something that had an 80s vibe to it, so I just googled 80s emojis, and the rollerblade popped up, and I googled it, and I guess they do go roller skating in the book, so I put that in there. And that one, like I said, I had to get a little bit creative with those. So looking at the poll, Theme Music won with 71%, and My Best Friend's Exorcism had 29%. So that means I get to start Theme Music, and I'm so excited to read this book. You guys don't even know. Literally have waited years. So this is on the longer side. It's just under 400 pages it looks like. So I'm gonna get started and let you guys know how it goes. I am 76 pages through Theme Music on chapter 4 now. So I wanted to give you guys my initial thoughts. I'm really enjoying it. The prologue, first of all, was just a perfect introduction to the story. Basically details the murder and this incident that occurred. So I don't think I told you guys what this book is about, but basically it was this murder that occurred where a man killed his wife and 3 of his children, but he left one child alive. That was a baby girl named Dixie. And so now it is 25 years later, and the house where all of this occurred was put up for sale, and she decides to buy it because she, I don't know, is just obsessed with trying to figure out what happened and like why that occurred and why her father like murdered everybody. So she thinks that being in the house will connect her to them. And it's very, very interesting. She is now getting caught up in like the mystery of it all and connecting with the detective who originally worked on the case 25 years ago. So it's very, very interesting. I love the way that it's written. Just the whole story and the whole premise is so interesting to me, and I think it's told really, really well. But yeah, that prologue is definitely going to stick with me because it was gruesome and sad and horrific and everything that I love. Okay, so my goal is to start my next book either tomorrow night or the morning after that. So I'm going to post the poll now so that everybody has some time to vote. So the next poll, I have 2 books by the same author. That is Jennifer McMahon. So the first one I have is The Drowning Kind, which is the one that initially was on my TBR and has been on my TBR for a while. So this is option number 1. And then the other one is The Invited, which hadn't been on my TBR, but I saw a reel of somebody talking about it and recommending it specifically for October and for Halloween. I have not read a Jennifer McMahon book before, but she is everywhere, and I know so many people talk about her in the horror book world. So I'm very, very excited to finally give her a try, but I don't know which one to do. So we're gonna post the poll, and I'll let you guys know who wins when it's time. Okay, I'm really tired and I'm about to go to bed, but I made it almost 200 pages through theme music. I'm on page 197 right now. I honestly don't have too much to say about it right now, but I am enjoying the story. I'm very curious to see how things wrap up and like what the mystery is and like what the answers are. We're just following her really investigating what happened because now she's starting to believe that her father actually didn't do it and that somebody else may have been responsible. There has just been a death that occurred. Somebody was murdered nearby, so things are getting a little bit more intense. I do find it very, very interesting. I love, like, I don't know, all the characters I feel like are so interesting. And there have been some very interesting things that have been said. Like, towards the beginning, she's talking about, obviously trying to spark some memories and remember, like, what happened in this house. And so it was just an interesting little paragraph where they were talking about how, like, smell and taste and things like that can bring back memories, but sometimes it's not truly a memory, it's just like a feeling that you associate with it. And I thought that was really, really interesting. And then there was a point as well where Dixie was talking about how, like, that was her family that was murdered, that was her parents, her 3 brothers, but because she was so young, like, she never knew them. And it just, I don't know, I feel like that's so interesting. It must be so weird to like be so disconnected and to be with like your aunts and your uncles and your cousins and other people who are older who knew your parents and knew your brothers and talk about them openly like that, and that that's your family, but you don't really feel any connection. I don't know. I just think that's so interesting, and it just must be so, so weird. Dixie also is very much like sort of an unreliable narrator. She definitely drinks a lot and is like experiencing things that she's not sure if they're actually happening all the time. So I don't know how that's gonna play out. She's experiencing some weird things in the house. I don't know if those things are actually happening, if it's a supernatural thing or somebody's messing with her. I don't know, but I'm very, very interested, very into the story, and can't wait to keep reading more, but I'm really tired and I need to go to bed right now. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, I just got out of the shower, so that's why I look like this. I am on page 270 of theme music, so I've got a little over 100 pages until the end. So I just wanted to do a quick little update. I don't have a lot of thoughts to share, but I hate to say it, I'm not loving it that much. I don't know, I'm not hating it, but maybe I just like hyped it up too much in my head because I was thinking this is gonna be perfect, amazing, like groundbreaking, 5-star, and I'm just not loving it that much. Like I said, I'm not hating it either. I don't know what is going on. Like, I'm confused. The things that are happening don't really make sense to me. They don't seem very realistic, and I honestly I don't know what's going on. So that's my update for you guys. I'm gonna finish this book and let you guys know my final thoughts. Hopefully it comes together in the end and pulls me back in, but right now it's just kind of like somewhere in the middle for me. So it's been a little while, but I finally finished theme music. I don't know why I don't have a lot to say about this. I think I'm gonna end up giving it 3 stars. To be honest, it kind of lost me in the middle. I thought a lot of it was predictable and unrealistic, and I don't know, I thought it was kind of dumb at some parts. Like, I was reading it and I was like, this is dumb. And I'm really sad because I thought for sure that this was gonna be like solid 5-star. So maybe I did just hype it up too much in my head, and then I was like disappointed by my own expectations. But I just thought it was okay. Like, it was interesting enough. I really, really loved the premise and the first part of it, and just the whole like story of what happened to Dixie when she was a baby, and just how her whole family was murdered and everything like that. Like, I thought was so interesting and so sad and heartbreaking, and I really, really loved that. And I loved the idea of her going back to this house and trying to connect with her family and maybe bring up some memories of what happened that day. And then it just got so crazy. Like I said, just so many things happened that I was reading it and I was like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, I was confused, but not in a good way. Sometimes I enjoy a book that will make you question like what's happening, but this was not that. It made me question what was happening, but in like a way where it was annoying me. I also am not a really big fan of like the unreliable narrator in books, especially when it's done this way. Dixie had like an alcohol problem and she was drinking a lot and like having blackouts, and there were things that were happening that you didn't know if they were actually happening or what was going on, and I'm just not a really big fan of that in books usually, so I didn't like that in this book. I pretty much finished the book, put it to the side, and said, that was dumb, and now here we are. So 3 stars, that's it, and I don't really have anything else to say about it. But I am sad that I didn't love it like I thought I would. Okay, it is time to figure out what the next book will be between The Invited or The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon. So I'll tell you guys the emojis that I used first. For this one, I put a water emoji, obviously, because it's The Drowning Kind. And then I put flowers because there's flowers on the cover. And then reading the synopsis, they mentioned something about a woman wishing for a baby. So I put a baby emoji. I don't know if that was the correct combination of emojis, but whatever. And then for The Invited, this is about a couple that's like building a house that's haunted or something. So I put that like broken down house emoji and then a ghost and a couple, of course. So we'll see which one won. Okay, so it looks like The Drowning Kind got 21%, which means The Invited wins with 79%. So this is gonna be our next book. I think it's gonna have very, very good spooky Halloween October vibes. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're back from the beach. We got some dinner. We go to this place called Hoven's near where we live, which is kind of like a Chipotle style thing, but they have like a plant-based meat option and it's so good. Anyways, I thought I would update you guys. I am 123 pages through The Invited, and now that I really think about it, I kind of feel like nothing has really happened so far. We've got the introduction to all of the characters, the couple Helen and Nate, and they have just bought this property in Vermont and they decide that they're going to build the house there, and they find that the land is kind of like home to a local legend. Back in 1924, a woman named Hattie lived there, and she was suspected by the town to be a witch, and they killed her. And so I guess there's just a lot of stories about that land and about that woman, and that's the land that they're building their house on. And then we also have Olive, who is, I think she's 14 years old, and she's their neighbor, and she was kind of messing with them and like doing pranks and trying to run them out of the town, but now they seem to be a little bit friendly, and I'm very curious how she comes into the mix. She is trying to find this treasure that Hattie supposedly buried on the property somewhere. So that's where we are so far. Like I said, now that I think about it, I feel like nothing really has happened. We haven't gone to any like spooky stuff or like paranormal happenings or anything like that. They're still very much in the early processes of building their house and learning more about the history of that property. So I'm very curious to see where it goes. I am enjoying it so far. I love the writing style and the setup and everything. It's very, very interesting. I just don't know where it's going and when it's going to pick up. This is about 350 pages. So that's where I am now. I'm gonna finish my dinner and let you guys know my thoughts as I read a little bit more. Hello, it is now the next day. We went out to this like nature preserve type of thing. We walked around today, and then we got home and I did some more reading. I am now 250 pages into The Invited, and I still feel like there's really nothing happening. It's not really like a horror book or even a thriller. It's kind of like a ghost story and like a little bit of a mystery as the characters are trying to uncover like the history of this place and what happened to these spirits and the whole thing, like searching for the treasure that may be there. But there's really no horror, there's no sense of urgency to anything, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like nothing's really happening. Like, it's not at all what I expected it to be. I don't know, I really don't even know how to talk about it because I feel like I just have nothing to say because it's doing what it's doing and it's not leaving me with any strong feelings at all. Except for the husband in this, Nate. I don't like him. He's annoying and I don't enjoy him. And other than that, I don't have a lot to say. I just don't know where the book's gonna go in the last 100 pages, if it's gonna get like more intense or anything. I think that they're building up to sort of maybe a plot twist or a little bit of a reveal, but I feel like I know what it is and I know that it's coming, so I don't know. We'll see when the book decides to tell us that is what's happening. Also, while we're here, I wanted to let you guys know that I posted the poll for our next book because I'm gonna finish this one tonight. So I want something a little bit shorter to read, so I picked up 2 short books off of my TBR. The first one is The Silent Companions. This takes place in like the early 1900s, I think, so it's got like a gothic feel, I feel like. But it's about this woman who's living in this house and she finds a locked door, and behind it is like this painted doll thing that kind of looks like her. I don't know. So the emojis that I put for this one was a door, a doll. The only doll emoji they had was like the Russian nesting dolls, so I put that. And then I put the little like face that doesn't have a mouth because it's silent, so I thought that kind of made sense. And then the next one is Pen Pal, which is the one that I'm hoping wins because like you guys don't understand how badly I want to read this book. It's been on my TBR for a very, very long time, and it originally started as a creepypasta, which is my favorite. I used to love reading creepypastas all the time, so I'm so excited to read this. I've heard that it's spooky and creepy and unsettling and just everything that I'm looking for. It is also short as well. So this one, I had to get really creative with the emojis because there's not really a lot about what the plot is like in the synopsis of this. So I did like a little like the notebook like writing emoji because it's called Pen Pal. I don't know, I just thought that emoji fit at least with the title. And then I put like a tree because it supposedly has like a woods like creepy forest type of vibe to it. And there is trees on the cover, although they don't have any leaves on them. And then I put the emoji that's like, because it's like uncovering things from his past, like his childhood memories and things like that. So I was like, oh, maybe there's like a secret past or something. So I just put that emoji because it made me think of like the word secret. I don't know. Like I said, it's really hard to choose emojis to describe this one when there's not a lot about the plot in the synopsis. So these are our two options. I would be fine with either of them, but I really want to read Pen Pal. So I'll let you guys know when the winner is chosen, and then I'll come back once I finish The Invited and let you guys know my final thoughts. Okay, I'm back. This is getting 2 stars from me. Nothing happened. Like, I don't know what to tell you except for like nothing happened. This isn't a horror book. This isn't a thriller book. It feels just like a paranormal fiction with like a tiny bit of a mystery in it, but it's not a compelling mystery at all. I didn't feel connected to any of the characters. I didn't really care about any of the characters except for maybe Olive. The couple, Nate and Helen, that we're supposed to care about, I was just like, I didn't like Nate at all. So that was that. That thing that I talked to you guys about the last clip that I was like, I feel like they're leading up to this because it's going to be like a reveal. I was correct about that, and I feel like I guessed it pretty early on. Like, it wasn't really hard to tell that the story was going to go in that direction. So I don't know about all that. I just feel like this book didn't need to be 350 pages. Like, it really didn't. It was so repetitive in the middle. Not only with, like, the events that actually happened in the book. Like, I feel like it was kind of the same thing happening day to day. Just, like, over and over and over and over again. Like, Helen goes to the Historical Society and reads old stuff, and Nate's an asshole, and Riley comes over and they smoke weed, and then Olive, like, goes and hunts for treasure. Like, literally, like, over and over and over again for, like, 200 pages. And I feel like a lot of that really could have been cut down. The writing itself also had some, like, repetitive phrases where, like, you'll read one specific phrase and then a page and a half later it'll be that same phrase again in like the same context, and it was just like, I will definitely read from Jennifer McMahon in the future. Like, there are still some of her books that I want to check out. Maybe this one just wasn't the one for me, but I was looking on Goodreads and it's got like primarily 4 or 5 star reviews, so I don't know. Maybe I just feel like being a hater. So we're gonna see which book we're gonna start next, and hopefully it can be better because I need something better. We've got a 2-star and a 3-star so far, so I want to get a winner for this video. So The Silent Companions got 45%, which means Pen Pal wins with 55% of the votes for Pen Pal, and I'm so excited. I really feel like this will be a 5-star. But I also felt that way with theme music, and clearly that didn't turn out so well, but I have a really, really good feeling about this. Like, deep in my soul, this is a 5-star. So, let's go ahead and start Pen Pal. So, I am halfway through Pen Pal now. It had a little bit of a slow start, but I'm really, really loving it right now. Like, it's so creepy and unsettling in like the perfect way that I was hoping for, so I'm very, very happy about that. So basically, we're just following this guy's story. He's telling us about some different experiences he had when he was a kid that are very freaky and just weird, and I don't like it, but I love it. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, there's not a lot that I can say to explain it, but I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm a little bit freaked out, so I'm gonna keep reading, of course, and try to finish this tonight. We'll see. But I just wanted to let you guys know that it's going well. It is everything that I hoped it would be. Good morning. It is now the next day and I have finished Pen Pal. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It wasn't a perfect 5-star for me, but it did do everything that I was hoping it would do. It was creepy in the first half, a little bit sad in the second half. It was very easy to follow. It was written well, like very, very interesting. Definitely holds your attention. The story is scary and devastating and just fascinating as well. As I said, we are basically just following this man as he recounts certain childhood memories, and they all kind of connect in a way. And due to that, it is kind of split into 5 different parts. So the first part is called Memories, and then we have Boxes, Maps, Screens, and Friends is the last section. And the timeline kind of jumps around a little bit, so you have to really pay attention to that when you're reading, because it's not a linear from start to finish type of book. Like, it starts off with him in kindergarten, and then in the next chapter it's like kindergarten, and then 1st grade, and then 5th grade, and then later on it's like when he's 15 years old, and then it also jumps back and forth. So you have to kind of pay attention to the time frame that we're in, because that does change a lot, but the whole thing lines up in the end. I don't have too much to say about it except for I really, really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend this if you are a fan of creepypastas or the no sleep subreddit, just as I am. If you were somebody who used to stay up all night reading that kind of stuff when you were younger, just like I did, then you'll definitely love this, because obviously that's how it started. That's exactly how it reads. So it was what I expected it to be, and I enjoyed it. 4 stars. I'm so glad we finally have a win for this video. Now, I didn't update you guys last night, but I did post the next poll just so that people would have time to vote, and then I could start that book today. So these books I don't physically have. They are on Kindle Unlimited, and they are by David Sodergren, which if you guys watched my October TBR, you know that I have been dying to read another one of his books. So I couldn't decide which one. They all sound absolutely fascinating, and I know that they're all going to be amazing. So I decided to let you guys pick for me. So the 2 that I put in the poll were Maggie's Grave and The Forgotten Island. So for Maggie's Grave, I used the grave emoji, the wand emoji, and the cross emoji. So the grave, obviously, because that's what's on the cover and that's also in the title. The little wand emoji was supposed to be like magic witch vibes, because I guess the story is about like a witch, and that's the witch's grave, Maggie's grave. But they don't really have like a witch emoji, so I thought that one would be close enough. And then I couldn't find a third emoji to use, so I put the cross because there is a cross on the grave on the cover. Then for the Forgotten Island, obviously I had to use the island emoji. Then I put a little blood drop because it's supposed to be a very bloody and gory book. And then I put a little spider emoji because I saw somewhere that I guess there are mutant spiders that are a part of this book, and that's all I want to know. David Sodergren, I feel like you have to go into his books blind because they're just fun and they take you places. So, moment of truth. Which book am I going to be starting next? Okay, I actually was not expecting this. Maggie's Grave won with 67%, and The Forgotten Island got 33%. So that's interesting. I kind of thought more people would vote for The Forgotten Island because I thought that those emojis were a little bit more interesting. But I'm very, very excited to start Maggie's Grave. So I'm gonna get started with that and let you guys know how it goes. It's a little bit later, but I am now 109 pages through Maggie's Grave, so I wanted to update you guys. I'm enjoying it so much. I'm absolutely flying through this book. I don't know why. It's just like such a quick read so far, and I'm having so much fun. And I don't know, it's just everything that I hoped it would be and expected it to be. David Sodergren definitely has like a very unique, like distinct writing style and just the way that he tells his stories, but it's fantastic. His writing is just so descriptive, like really sets the scene and the atmosphere. All of the gore is so descriptive as well, like the body horror and just the weirdness of it all is so perfect. So far in Maggie's Grave, we are set in this very small, like Scottish town, like very small. They probably have like 50 people that live there. And we are mainly following this group of teens. There is 4 of them, and one night a foreigner shows up, an American girl, and is like, let's do something fun. What's fun to do around here? And they say, well, we kind of have this local legend of Maggie the witch, and her grave's still up on this mountain. So they take this American girl there to go and see it, and obviously stuff starts to get crazy and Maggie the witch comes back. This is giving very much like very B horror movie, 80s horror movie type of vibes. Like we have the very stupid and drunk teens that are having sex and just telling all these ghost stories. I don't know, it is just so fun and I'm enjoying myself so much. I think this probably will be a 5-star, but I'm not even halfway through yet, so maybe I shouldn't get ahead of myself, but it just makes me want to read even more of his books and have them physically on my shelves because I'm enjoying it. Anyway, since I am reading this one so quickly, I'm definitely gonna finish it tonight, so I'm gonna post the next poll so that way I can start on the next book tomorrow. So because I'm having so much fun with Maggie's Grave, I wanted another fun book. So I have Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison, which is some sort of werewolf story. I don't think it's meant to be a very scary, horror, intense book. I think it's meant to be silly and light and fun, and I think that's exactly what I need right now. This also just feels like it'll give the perfect like Halloween vibe. So this is our first choice. However, I didn't know what to pair it with because I don't really have like any other like fun, silly books on my like physical library TBR. I'm trying to stick to the library books because obviously those have a time limit. So I decided I'm gonna pair Such Sharp Teeth with A Certain Hunger. They're giving very different vibes, but like teeth, hunger, eating. You see what I'm trying to do here? I don't know. So this is about a girl who eats her boyfriend or something. I don't really know. It's also relatively short, so that would be really nice if I do get this one. But I'm gonna do the poll now, put these two up, and then I will let you guys know my final thoughts when I finish Maggie's Grave, and then we'll see who won the poll and which book I get to start next. I'm only recording this so I can avoid reading the next part of the book. Something is gonna happen that I am both excited and horrified at the thought of. So it's going well, as you can tell, but I'm not ready for what's about to happen. So Maggie's Grave was a 5-star, and I can't say that I'm surprised because I knew I was gonna love it. It was fun and silly, very fast paced, very suspenseful at times. The body horror and the gore was absolutely over the top, but done so well. I just think David Sodergren is a fantastic author. I know I've said it a million times already, but it is so true, and I just even more so want to read more of his books now. His writing just has like this certain quality to it that makes you want to keep reading. Once you start, you just kind of can't stop, and I feel like that's why it goes so quickly and you're just fully pulled into the story. His descriptive writing is fantastic, and I don't know, I love it all. And I feel like he also does a really good job of like incorporating real life horror into his books, among with all the silly and ridiculous things happening. So in Maggie's Grave, like that real life horror aspect to it is what happened to Maggie in the story and how she was killed and had her baby taken from her. It is scary in a way that is real, you know what I mean? Like, that's a thing that happens and did happen in the past, you know, Salem witch trials. So I think that mixed in with the silliness of her being like resurrected and coming out of the grave and killing all these people and just being like a monster, it's just so fun. I also didn't know this, but at the end of the book, the author puts in a picture of Maggie's grave, which is a real grave. I think it's in Scotland, and nobody knows the full story surrounding it, but just the fact that that's a real thing, and it does say like Maggie Wall burned here as a witch in 1657. I think that's so interesting, and I didn't know that before going into the story, so I think it's really cool that he included that in there and a picture of the real thing. I'm just very happy that I read this book, and I just want to keep reading more of his work now, but I'm gonna go to bed. I will see you guys tomorrow when we'll figure out what the last book is gonna be. Hello, it is the next day. We are here to figure out what book I'm starting tonight. A Certain Hunger or Such Sharp Teeth. As I told you guys, I really want this one to win because I want a fun and silly book. But let's see. So I'll tell you guys, I don't think I told you all the emojis I used, no. This one, I put the wolf emoji, the moon emoji, and then a red heart emoji. Obviously, moon, wolf, werewolf story. And I put the red because I wanted something that has to do with the cover. And then I also saw people were saying that there is like a romance subplot in this book. So I thought the heart was just a good little emoji. And then for this one, I put the chef emoji, the knife emoji, and then the anatomical heart one, because obviously that's what she's has in her hand on the cover. And the book, I guess, is about her, that she's a food critic, but she's also like a chef, and then I guess she kills people, and it's like female American Psycho, I've seen people say. So that's the emojis that I use for this. So let's see now. Moment of truth. I'm so scared, I don't know why. And A Certain Hunger has won. 55% for this and 45% for this one, and I'm not sad. Like, I do want to read them both. They're both on my TBR, but I was really hoping this one would win. I'm still gonna plan to get to it this month, but for now, we are reading A Certain Hunger. I guess this is a good thing because it is relatively on the shorter side, so I'll be able to finish it sooner, in theory, 250 pages. So I'm gonna start this tonight and let you guys know my thoughts. So it's a few hours later. I am now 131 pages into A Certain Hunger. I'm on chapter 11. I don't know if this could be fully classified as horror, which I am just now finding out. I thought it was horror. On Goodreads, like the top category that it's under is horror, but I also feel like it's just kind of like a literary fiction. So we're basically following our main character, Dorothy, who is a food critic, and we're just kind of following like her life. We know from the beginning that she is in prison for killing men, so now we're kind of getting more into the story of like who she killed and how she killed them and ate parts of their body. And I find all of that very, very interesting. I love the descriptions of like the deaths and the eating. I don't know. I feel like this is bad to say, but it makes me kind of hungry. The rest of the story, I don't really care about. Like learning about Dorothy's life and like her job as a food critic and her sexual explorations. This book is very sexual, and I don't mind that. It's just like all the stuff that is not murder or cannibalism, I'm just not that interested in, but that's kind of like my own preference. There's really nothing wrong with the story itself. It definitely did take me a while to get into it. I think it was like about 80 or so pages before I was really interested in it. It's weird because there are some parts that I think are so good, they have my full attention and I'm interested while reading, and then we get to other parts that are just kind of like boring and I just kind of, I don't know, zone out a little bit while I'm reading them. So it's taken me some time to work through this, but that is interesting because I feel like American Psycho is the same way, and this book does get compared to American Psycho, where in American Psycho, like, you have these crazy, brutal murder descriptions, and then it's like the most boring inner monologue for like 100 pages. This isn't that extreme, like on that level, but it definitely is like reminiscent of just the way that I felt while I read American Psycho, and just the differences in like the death scenes versus like her regular mundane life. So it's interesting so far. I don't have very, very strong feelings about it. The one thing that I do wish is that we got like a little bit more of why she killed these men. There really isn't an explanation. She just kind of did it because she felt like it. She was like, I like this guy, but it kind of would be better if he was dead. And then she like kills him. I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but I wish there was like a little bit more of like an insight or motive as to why she did this. But I am enjoying those scenes of the deaths. Like I said, I'm enjoying the scenes of her eating parts of their body. I think is so interesting, and like the descriptions of the methods that she used to cook the meat and like what she flavors it with and how it tastes and what she pairs it with when she eats it, I think is so fun. So those parts I'm enjoying. The rest of it is just kind of like mundane and a little bit boring at times, but I'll let you guys know my thoughts when I finish it. So I am now on page 216 of A Certain Hunger, chapter 17. So I'm pretty close to the end now. I think I have like a little less than 40 pages. I just think the story is getting more interesting now in the second half, like as she's detailing the murders, and then we're learning more about how she actually got caught and all of that. I think is very, very interesting. There was one part that I thought was pretty interesting as well. Sorry, the cat is playing with her toy. On page 170, she's like talking about one of the guys that she killed, and she kind of speaks like directly to the reader. The whole thing is very like stream of consciousness, the way that it's written. We're just listening to like her tell us the story, but I thought it was interesting because there's a whole paragraph where she says, "You'd likely enjoy it if I stopped narrating this chapter at this precise moment. You, comfortable in your chair, snug in your bed, rocking on the train, curved around your Kindle, or propping your book open in your splayed hands, probably are making a silent wish for me to table the gruesome details. You're tempted to thumb ahead to skip this section where I detail the skinning, gutting, stripping, and slicing of this corpse that was once my living, breathing lover." And I don't know, I just think that's so interesting. Just how she's talking like directly to us and is saying like I don't know, the whole curled up around your Kindle, snug in bed. Like, I just think it's so interesting. Also, the last page that I read is where she actually like got found and arrested, and I think the way that was written was really interesting as well. Like, she says, I had the right to an attorney, and then she goes on to like describe the scene, but using that same like phrase. I had the right to be led through the bedroom door. I had the right to be firmly guided by my elbow. Like, I just think it's so, just an interesting way to describe like the scene and what's happening. So it's definitely like going up in terms of enjoyment for me in the second half. I don't know if it was just like the setup in the beginning, I just like couldn't really get behind. The writing, it took me a little while to like get into as well. I was also like deathly tired yesterday reading this, so I'm sure that didn't help. I'm not sure my final thoughts yet. Obviously, I'm not even done with the book, but it's like interesting because the stuff that I am enjoying, I'm enjoying so much that it's like 4.5, like 5 stars. And then we get to those points where I just kind of am like, my eyes glaze over and I'm just like reading this, and those are kind of like less enjoyable and a little bit boring at sometimes, like I told you guys yesterday. But I don't know, that's why it's so difficult, is because the stuff that I do enjoy, I really, really enjoy. So I'm not sure what my final rating for this is going to be, but I'm going to finish the last little bit that I have and come back with you guys when I do finish this book. But it is going well. So it's a little bit later. I finished A Certain Hunger, and I think I'm gonna land on a 4-star for this one. Although it did take me some time to get like into the story and fully invested and to get past like the writing style of it all, I did really, really enjoy like majority of the book. So in my mind, a 4-star is fitting, and I would definitely recommend this book. And like I said, overall enjoyed it. I'm going to have positive thoughts looking back on this book in the future, so that's why that rating is there. I don't have like too much more to say about it that I haven't already told you guys, although I did find it very, very interesting, and just like the sort of feminist aspect to it, and just kind of like the message that like women can do everything that men do, even if it is murder. But there were some very interesting points where she talked about like female killers and mothers that kill their children and things like that, and compared it to like how people not expect, but like if you hear that a man murdered somebody, it's not as shocking as like if a woman did it. And I don't know, just the way that it ended as well was very, very interesting. Definitely has like a lot of talking points to it. Like I feel like this would be a good like book club read, because it would just be very interesting to see what other people think about this book, because it definitely gives you a lot of opportunities to think about different things. And I don't know, it was just very, very interesting. The cat once again is playing with her toy, so I apologize. But the little kind of blurb in the front from Publishers Weekly says, her shocking and darkly funny novel reads like a feminist horror version of American Psycho. And I feel like that really is like the perfect way to sum this book up. Like, I definitely understand all of the parallels and like the people that compare it to American Psycho, which I just wanted to touch on as well, because I know a lot of people have been comparing Mayfly to American Psycho as well, like a female American Psycho, but I don't really agree with that comparison. I didn't like Mayfly. This one I think definitely gives more like American Psycho vibes, because you get like the brutal and gruesome horror and acts of violence, but then you also get her like extensive inner monologue and her like admitting that she's a psychopath. And it was all very, very interesting. And so to call it a feminist horror version of American Psycho, I feel like is very accurate. And that's kind of, if that sounds like something that interests you, then I would recommend this. So I'm gonna leave it there because there's not really much else that I could say that isn't just gonna be me like repeating myself. I did enjoy this book and I am glad that I read it ultimately. With all of that being said, we can do a little wrap up of all of the books that I read for this video. We read 5 books. I read 5 books. I don't know why I always say we. So we started off with Theme Music by T. Marie Vandelli, which didn't meet my very high expectations for it and got a 3-star. Then we have The Invited by Jennifer McMahon, which I really wouldn't call a horror book. I give it 2 stars. Then we read Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach, which I gave 4 stars. It was everything that I was expecting it to be, and I did really enjoy it. Then I read Maggie's Grave by David Sodergren, which is definitely the winner of this video for sure. My 1 5-star that I had. Really enjoyed that. Once again, I'm just like itching to read more of his work now. And then obviously we finished it off with A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers, which was another 4-star for me. I think overall we did really good with the books in this video. It's kind of funny, we had a 2-star, a 3-star, 4 stars, and a 5-star. So a pretty good range of things, and I want to say thank you to everybody who voted on the Instagram polls and helped to make this happen and to give me these books to read. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you guys next time.